Hello everybody, welcome to the Comic Game Movie Show. My name is Deshaun, and today I'm here to review the Mandalorian Season 3, Episode 8, the season finale of Mandalorian Season 3, and I really wanted to sit on this. I waited a bit, because I saw the reactions. I saw the reactions for it before I even watched it. I didn't even watch it Wednesday because the reactions to the final episode were so polarizing. They were all over the place. Some people said it was disappointing. Some people went as far as to say that this season on its own invalidated the last few seasons' endings. And I heard so much about it. Nothing about specifics. No one spoiled anything about the episode. But I just heard so much about it, so many people talking about it, and I really wanted to take my time. I took a step back, and I was like, okay, I'm feeling anxious about this. I really want to see what this is about. Very similar to when Thor Love and Thunder had their reviews come out, and they were very mixed. Very similar to when, Eternals and things of that nature, where I see the reviews and I'm, excited for something. Even Super Mario Brothers, when the movie came out and had a rotten score, but I saw the reviews and it was so polarizing, I was like, I gotta go see this movie. I'm curious about what it is. Same with this episode in the sense of I was really nervous about it because all season has been polarized. Me personally, I don't see that huge, I see the differences. I will say, I do think that it is the weaker, now that it's all wrapped up, I do think season 3 is weaker than seasons 1 and 2. But I don't think it's this massive drop-off. I think that's a bit dramatic. I think people are being a bit over the top. Star Wars fans tend to be a bit dramatic. And overall, even the reaction to this episode, in my opinion, for the most part, is a bit overblown and a bit dramatic. There are people out there saying this episode ruined the first 2 seasons. There are people out there saying this episode was awful. It was they rushed through everything. There's a whole bunch of people out there saying a lot of things. And by the time I got to the end of the episode, I finally watched the episode. I didn't watch the episode till Friday, so you guys know. That's how much I was kind of putting it off. And I watched the episode yesterday. And once I finally watched the episode, I was like, okay, now, was that the best season finale I've ever seen? No. Was that the best season finale of The Mandalorian? No. But was it bad? Hell no. It was action-packed. It resolved a lot of issues. You had some cool, cool action set pieces. They set up a bunch of things in previous seasons that they actually go full throttle with. They pretty much wrap up the entire arc of The Mandalorian. They could end the show right here, which I think might be the thing that's bothering people, is how clean, that might be the biggest, I'd say, issue with the last episode, the finale, is how cleanly it wrapped things up. It did wrap things up pretty freaking cleanly, to the point where it's okay, everything is wrapped up. Moff Gideon is dead. The Mandalorians have taken back, their planet. There was no big betrayal. There was no big cameo. There was no big, huge, overblown setup or anything. No one died in the last episode. People died. Somebody died in the last episode, but no one died. Nobody died. Din didn't die. Grogu didn't die. Bo didn't die. None of the big people died, other than Moff Gideon, who's probably dead. They revived IG-11. Everything kind of just wrapped up. And Din is now a father. Din has officially made Grogu his son, and the Darksaber is destroyed, but you never know. They might be able to fix it, Theoretically, they could probably fix the Darksaber. They still got the Kyber crystal. You just got to reforge the saber. But there's a lot of stuff. The only thing that doesn't really get resolved is the whole Mythosaur thing. It's down there, but you never see it. You think the Mythosaur is going to play a big role in the last part, and it doesn't actually show up and do anything. So that was a little bit okay. But other than that, like I say, there was an awesome fight sequence. First of all, there's this awesome sequence where Mando is going through the shields, and he's popping out of the shields and fighting them, and the shields come down, and the timing of it, that was badass. Mando fighting Moff Gideon was awesome. Also, there was this awesome sequence where the fucking Mandalorians are raining down, and the other troopers are coming up, and they're just fighting in midair. This finale from an action standpoint, from a visual standpoint, was badass. Now, like I said, now it does go through stuff, but I didn't like, by the time it wrapped up, the big difference between this finale and the other finales is, one, the last finale, season 2 had that massive cameo thing. Because if you look at season 2's finale, it's not better than this one, but it had such an emotional punch in the end with not only Grogu and Din leaving each other, but Luke Skywalker showing up, which people forget, that was very controversial at the time. People forget about that now, but it was very controversial. People felt some type of way about the whole Luke Skywalker of it all. So I do find it pretty funny that seasons 1 and 2 got heavily criticized. Season 2 got heavily criticized for relying on too many cameos. Boba Fett, Bo-Katan, Ahsoka, all these cameos and stuff, Luke Skywalker. Season 2 got criticized, and heavily so, for being too canon heavy and for having too many cameos and whatnot and relying too heavily on that. And while season 3 essentially had no cameos whatsoever and really focused on one story. Also, something I noticed about season 3, which may be a problem, and this is, I will admit, this is one of the biggest problems with season 3, in my opinion, is one of my favorite things about The Mandalorian, and some people hate this, I know people who hate it, is the episodic nature of it. Seasons 1 and even mostly season 2 had this thing, did a great job of having it where, sure, we are on a journey, but Din and Grogu would go on these little side missions. Season 1 did a lot with them. Everyone remembers the whole the ice spiders thing, and then the breaking out of the prisoners. Like, all these episodes were so different and so isolated, even though they were all connected, but it gave it this nice, interesting, episodic feel to it, and I always dug that about The Mandalorian. It's like, we'll get to the main plot's still happening, but we'll stop and let a director, bring in a new director and let him do his thing in this individual episode. And they did it. They tried to do it in this season, but the problem with this season is I feel like the past seasons were written to have episodic, what's the word I'm looking for? To fit the episodic nature of what they were going for. Whereas this season was written more like a traditional one story. This season was written like one of the Marvel shows. And what I mean like one of the Marvel shows is, for the most part, the MCU shows are all written like long movies. For the most part. They're all written like long movies. I don't think it's a coincidence that Hawkeye, Ms. Marvel, and a few others, and like I can't remember, maybe Moon Knight, I can't remember. But Hawkeye and Ms. Marvel in particular are some of the highest rated of the Marvel shows, and they were mostly done more like TV shows. Whereas The Mandalorian kind of did it that way. Season 1 and most of Season 2 were done like huge budget TV shows. Whereas the story was written like that, like an episodic, huge budget TV show. This season was written more like a streamlined, single, like, what's the word, movie. This one was written like a movie, but they still shot it and did it like it was episodic when it wasn't. So it gave off the vibe. Now that I'm sitting back and thinking about the entirety of the season, it gave off the vibe like it was both moving too fast and taking too long at the same time, the entirety of the season. And it's because, like I say, the story that was written was not written to be episodic the way they wrote it. The way they wrote this story, this should have been I don't know, this like the entirety of the show could have been done in a movie. The entirety of this season anyways could have been done in a movie. It could have been done in a 2-hour, maybe 3-hour movie, and like we didn't need all these episodes. And the problem is just the way it was written made it like it could have just been done like that, and it would have been just as good, maybe even better. So, in short, I enjoyed this season finale. I thought it was fun. I had a lot of fun with it. And, you know, I'm happy. Grogu's officially Din's son. I thought that was a beautiful moment. I thought it was also a beautiful moment seeing all the Mandalorians on Mandalore. It really does make you wonder where the hell they were during the trilogy, the new trilogy, but I digress. They set up a lot of stuff in this. We know that there's a Mandalorian movie. That there will be a Mandalorian movie that will end the Din Djarin, the whole entire Mando universe thing they got going here. We know that's coming. I don't know if we know when it's coming. We don't know if there will be a season 4 before that movie happens. It may or may not. The way they ended the show and the way they ended the season real clean, the way they did it in a way where it could be it. Like, they could just stop making The Mandalorian and it would make perfect sense. That's the way they did it. So I'm not sure. It might be a while before we see The Mandalorian again. But I'm sad that it's gone out on this weird note. It's still got like a 90% on Rotten Tomato and shit. So obviously, critics don't think it's awful. For all the, the chirping on the internet, it's not like the thing has like a rotten score on the internet, And obviously, people have been dogging it. People aren't scared to dog shit. Just ask Marvel about that. They got a couple rotten movies now. So obviously, people aren't like scared to talk shit about it. It's not, but it is lower ranked than 1 and 2. But overall, if I had to give the season a score, I'd probably give it an 8. It's below. It's not as good as seasons 1 and 2, but it's much better than when people make it. Like I said, when I saw people's reactions to this last episode, I was scared. Then I watched it and was like, "Good Lord, man! Nobody's." Gosh, Star Wars fans are so goddamn melodramatic. I swear, but maybe that's just nerddom in general. Maybe we're very hyperbolic, Maybe we're very over the top, which I understand. You guys saw my video I did on Mortal Kombat, okay? So I know over the top. Anyways, thank you guys for joining the Comic Movie Show again. Please remember to like and subscribe, and I'll see you guys on the next one. Bye.